Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of our podcast, Let's Masdebate. I'm your host, Mary, and I'm here with my lovely partner, Louis.
Hi everybody.
And we're just your kind of regular, not so regular, heterosexual couple, here to discuss sex-related topics.
So what we're trying to do is to stimulate a natural, easygoing conversation on sexual health and pleasure in our judgment-free environment by sharing our own personal experiences.
Definitely. I think Louis and I have a really good relationship, and one of the key benefactors for that, I think, is that we know how to communicate with each other really well.
I definitely agree. Communication is often the most important thing in a relationship, and especially when having sex. I personally believe, not just in the verbal sense, but if you're having sex without any guidance, it can be incredibly difficult to know what does it for someone and what may not do it for someone.
Yeah, and how to make someone comfortable, really. If you're not communicating, how do you know that the person is really wanting to do what you're wanting to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I just wanted to add a little disclaimer that all our stats and information I've gathered from my own personal surveys, which was pretty crazy. I got a lot of responses at university, almost, I think over 200 at one point for my first survey,
wow,
which was quite a lot for just a university survey. In our experiences, we might not mention the names, but if we do mention names, then there will have been changed, obviously, just for a general protection.
Please don't sue us.
Yeah, so let's get on to the sex topics.
Okay then, what topic first spikes interest in your head, Mary?
Well, we should probably start at the beginning, really, as soon as it's number one.
I reckon that makes a lot of sense to me.
So first things first, I think everyone's first kind of delve into sex or anything sexual related is your first kiss. So why don't you tell me and everyone listening your first kiss experience?
Oh boy. Okay, right. So I want to start off by saying that I was much, much too young. I was only 12 years old, and I was at a bat mitzvah.
Bat mitzvah.
Bat mitzvah. So most people have heard of the male version, which is
bar mitzvah.
The bar mitzvah happens when you're 13, and that's to celebrate turning a man. You're in the eyes of Judaism, you're now allowed to get up there in synagogue, and you can read from the Torah. So you're Jewish? I am Jewish, yes. I was doing naughty things at the bat mitzvahs. See, so
sounds like it.
So they occur when you're 12 years old rather than 13, and as one does, we were sneaking alcohol from the adults.
Wow.
Yeah, we're trying to grow up.
At 12?
We're trying to grow up quick here.
I see.
We were playing spin the bottle. I remember that quite clearly.
Was this with your friends?
Honestly, it happened so early on. So a lot of the time, when you just turn 12, you often just start year 7. You might not know many people. You might end up inviting a bunch of people in your year that maybe you don't quite know so well. I certainly didn't. I didn't know many of the other kids there at the party. I only sort of knew of them from school.
Okay.
Only a month or two in.
Playing spin the bottle. At the scene, where were you? Hiding somewhere?
Yeah, just in some off room. We're in this big country manor. There's so many empty rooms off to the side to explore and do bad things in. We're all sat in this circle, really, playing spin the bottle. So I didn't feel like there was much of a choice in the matter. It landed on me. It landed on another girl that happened to be in the party. We went off to the side and
had a smooch.
Yeah. I didn't like it.
No, I can't imagine you really know what to do.
I did not know what to do. I wasn't sure how into girls I even was.
Yeah, at 12 I can imagine that you're still kind of questioning your sexuality. Well, maybe not even understanding what a sexuality is.
Yeah, I mean, chemically I don't think much had happened to me yet.
No puberty yet.
No. Fair
enough. So young little boy Louis having his first smooch. So I guess the general consensus from that is it wasn't great.
No, it was bad. I would much rather have waited, to be honest. Right, now it's time for you to share yours.
Okay, so I did wait.
Sensible.
And waited quite a long time. I was 19 when I had my first kiss.
Nice.
Which is what some people would probably see as quite old, but we don't judge.
We don't judge.
With a boy from Tinder.
Classic.
And we'd been talking a little while, been texting back and forth from first initially meeting on Tinder, and we decided that we were going to meet in person.
Nice.
And the romantic landscape for that was the university library.
Loughborough University Library.
You know, where all the romance happens.
Gorgeous. Who picked that venue?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I think I was absolutely petrified.
Oh, no.
I was hiding out in the toilets, and he had texted me saying he was in the cafe and just wanted me to come out and say hi. I'd gone bright red and my chest goes red.
Oh,
and,
no.
you know, a mess I was. And I went over. It was kind of awkward, but still quite fun. We were walking towards the town centre, but he took me on a little quieter off route through the campus, which he reckoned was quicker, but it definitely wasn't. And I said to him that it's definitely not quicker this way, but he was very persistent in it being quicker. I think he was just looking for a quieter area to have a little smooch.
Right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and he stopped me in the path and kissed me, and a car came and he stopped kissing me, which is a big turn off for me personally. I feel like if you're worried about other people seeing you have a kiss, it's just a bit like, are you ashamed to be seen kissing me, or are you really that embarrassed from being seen kissing?
Yeah, it does not look good either way.
No, and it was bad. The kiss was bad.
Oh, right.
I didn't think it was good, like it didn't feel good, and I didn't communicate that with him, but probably retrospectively it probably would have crushed him a bit if I was like, this is bad.
This is bad. You're a bad kisser.
You're a bad kisser. But my little naive head was like, it's fine, it doesn't matter, like it will get better. Like, I kind of like him, and I think I was at that stage where if you're talking to, you've invested a little bit of time into someone, you don't really want to just give up over one bad kiss.
No, that does make sense.
However, the tables did turn. And after I got home, I received a message from him saying that he didn't want to see me anymore.
Oh, no.
No.
That must have been sad for you.
It was. Like, I obviously was quite upset, but...
I mean, it was your first kiss,
He just tried to make out that he wasn't looking for a relationship or anything, and it was becoming towards summer, and he was obviously going to go home, and I was staying around Loughborough. It was just a lot of excuses, really.
Yeah, he sounds like a bit of a douchebag anyways.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a great way to enter the world of sex, but no, I definitely learnt a lot from the experience, and my next kiss was much better.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
What about our first kiss?
Wow, I enjoyed our first kiss.
Yeah, you're a good kisser, and I think the first kiss with someone is quite a big identifier whether you're quite sexually compatible or not.
Yeah, I think so. I've had a lot of bad kisses that have led me to believe that they're just not the person for me, you know?
Because kissing is so important. It doesn't just have that sexual tone, but it's very emotional and reassuring as well.
Yeah, it is very reassuring. You thought I was gay up until that point.
Yeah, I did. Your intentions were not clear. We met at a bar in Loughborough, and on a night out, he came over to me. We'd obviously had a lot to drink. I was very drunk at that point. And I remember you coming up distinctly and saying that you really liked my vibe.
Well, I wanted to sound cool. You looked really cool, and I thought that I looked like a bit of a nerd. So
no, you look cool. You had like a PlayStation top on.
Yeah, exactly. I had a PlayStation top on.
PlayStation top on. True, but you had the white socks, so you must have been kind of cool.
There we go.
Yeah, well, that was at your house, wasn't it? First kiss.
It
You
was.
called me pretty, and I was like, oh, he's not gay. I just didn't bring... I thought he brought me back to his house just to hang out and be friends. Obviously, that's what happens.
Yeah.
How naive was I? Good memories, though.
Yeah. Great memes.
But from first kiss, this is a sex podcast, so I think it's only appropriate now if we make things a little more juicy.
Okay, yeah.
I just think that personally sharing these kind of experiences could help some people. I know if I was a teenager or wanting to lose my virginity and were very worried about the situation or scenario that I could be put in, I think hearing about others' normal experiences would definitely help me and with my confidence. What do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I had no idea going into it what to expect, what was going to happen. I was just completely in the dark, and I think that can be a dangerous and a bit of a scary place to be at times.
Yeah, so maybe you should share your first experience if you feel comfortable with doing that.
I absolutely do. So without further ado, so It was with my ex-girlfriend. We weren't dating yet at the time, and I think I should add that we were only 15 years old.
Wow, that's quite young.
It's too young. Yeah. It's against the law young. Yeah, so that was that. We had there was mutual consent. It was planned upon.
Even though she technically, if she's 15, is not old enough to consent?
No. I mean, purely from a situational standpoint at the time. It was prearranged,
okay,
let's say.
So we're not condoning. Carry on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was at her house. Her parents were out at the time.
Classic.
We'd been left there on our lonely, and we had also been drinking. There was alcohol involved for sure. The liquid courage caused me some alcohol-related erectile dysfunction. So
oh no, at 15.
At 15, yeah, it was rough. I mean, I was really drunk, so that was pretty difficult.
So why had you chosen then to lose your virginity?
There's a few elements involved here, I think. First and foremost, I wanted to be a badass.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You think having sex makes you a badass?
Well, it wasn't my opinion. It was the opinion of my friends.
So peer pressure?
Yeah, definitely.
Had your friends had sex?
No.
Oh, so peer pressure from those that don't even have the experience.
No, they were like,
surprised that works.
Do it. And I was like, I guess I have to now. Is it something that you talked
about with your friends then? Because I know now that sex in your male friendship groups isn't really that discussed for you personally.
Strangely, within my uni circles, it was never discussed. Back when we were kids in school, it was discussed a little bit more, but I never tended to bring it up. Yeah.
Even though you were the only one having it.
Yeah, even though I was, definitely I would have benefited from waiting.
So how was it? Not good?
Well, we had started having sex. It was going all right, but we heard her parents come home.
Oh no, unannounced.
Yeah, they just...
Had you expected them to be out longer then?
Yeah, definitely.
Yikes.
So they came home a bit early, so obviously we stopped having sex immediately. Put on the clothes, hide the alcohol, try and tidy the room a bit. They come in and we're sitting there, messy hair,
Oh God, very drunk.
A bit like flushed in the face, and they're just like, oh my God. And they'd seen me before. I wasn't random, like they knew of me.
Oh, did you know that you had that kind of relationship with their daughter?
I'm not sure they knew yet, but they
did when they walked in.
They did now, yeah. They did then.
I'm surprised that their parents know you're going to be there.
No.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't let my 15-year-old daughter have a 15-year-old boy over when we weren't there.
No, she invited me round, and I was like, oh, okay. And then her parents were out, so...
How did the situation end? Did your parents find out?
My dad had to pick me up.
Oh, no.
Obviously, I was a bit too drunk to just be wandering home late at night, 15 years old. Yeah, my dad had to come get me. And I remember him roasting me a bit in the car. On the way back home, he was pretty angry with me, I think. After that, it was never brought up ever again.
Wow. Not even the day after, or did it not lead to having a sex talk?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Yeah, just...
That surprises me, because I think if I was a parent in another dimension right now, and I had a 15-year-old child, and I just picked them up after them having sex, finding out that they were being sexual, I think the most responsible thing is to ensure that they were being safe.
Yeah, I think so, but I think my dad might have been waiting to have it with me, which I think is a bit silly.
But you were already 15.
Yeah, but I think he was just under the impression at that point, he's already doing it, so...
No point.
No.
That is, I feel, a bit of an incorrect attitude, because they don't know what kind of information that you have on sex. They don't know if you've just been watching porn and think, I can do what I want and it doesn't really matter. I think it's also important to teach your children about the equalities of having sex, especially if you think your son is 15 and just out doing it. You're not really...
It's not a good position to be in.
No.
No, not at all. That's me thoroughly embarrassed.
Do you find it embarrassing to talk about?
Yeah, I do. I think if it was a bit less illegal and
okay.
And
Well, don't worry, this is a judgment-free environment.
In this judgment-free environment, I think it's your turn, Mary.
Talk about my first time.
You've got to. I've done it.
I never thought I'd be doing this, but here we go.
Here we go.
So I was in a relationship, and I was 19.
It's already going much better than mine.
Me and my boyfriend at the time had waited until we were in love to both lose our virginity to each other.
Wow.
which I think it doesn't always happen, especially at 19.
No.
Yeah, we'd gone away with his friends who were also a couple, and it wasn't planned. We didn't have protection. He had to go and ask his friend for a condom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was kind of awkward, but we were at that point where we'd expressed the I love yous and felt ready to take the plunge.
Okay.
And it was okay. It wasn't orgasmic because I'm not sure that many people's first times are. I remember seeing 50 Shades of Grey, and when the woman, she loses her virginity to the guy, she's coming all over the place. I'm not sure that's how it happens.
No, never. Almost never.
No, but it was a good experience for me. I was very, very comfortable with the person, and I was very ready.
Wow.
I didn't regret it at all.
That's good. It's good not to regret it.
Even though it wasn't orgasmic, it wasn't really that disappointing either, so...
Yeah. Well, it's safe to say that yours was not as bad or as inexperienced as mine was.
We definitely learned a lot from it, and especially I think understanding what protection works for you best is very important in having good sex.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of boys have that problem of
condom problems.
Yeah, condom problems.
You know, you gotta find the one that works for you.
One size fits most, I guess.
You have to shop around sometimes.
That's important to know, because I think a lot of boys, there is that stigmatism around condoms, and you try one and think it's horrible, and then I just have that permanent mindset of I hate condoms, I'm gonna wear them, the girl has to be on protection.
Yeah, and that's just not fair, really.
Which is a very toxic way to look at it, really, because it's neither one of your responsibilities individually, it's your responsibility as a couple doing it to be protected.
Yeah, I agree. I
think the safest way is to ensure that you are yourself.
Yeah.
So, following on from that, I think it's quite important to know the environments that we grew up in that have very much had an impact on our sexual experiences.
Yeah, you need to recognise that's going to have one of, if not the biggest effect, I think.
Yeah, because I had quite a religious upbringing, and in my house there was not really a discussion of sex or that it was okay to be having sex. Sex was always a thing that married people did and was definitely not permitted in my house.
Right.
Not even my parents were having sex.
No.
No, I can't say that I've ever heard them have sex.
I don't know if I've heard mine. Maybe once.
Maybe once.
I'm not sure.
So I'm from a small village in the countryside, and
I grew up on the cusp of northwest London, and you know, I think sex was probably perceived quite differently in a city compared to out in the country. And I think I'd like to add also that my family, sex was just not spoken about at all. It wasn't shown in a negative light, it wasn't shown in a positive light, it wasn't shown in any lights at all. It was just mine to discover on my own.
All on your own.
All on my own.
Even though you have an older brother, did he never discuss anything sexual with you, or was it always just derogatory?
No, you've met him.
Unfortunately, I have. But yeah, in my house, sex was never discussed. There was only that odd passing comment from my dad that was always very, very negative.
Right, yeah.
I think being sexually promiscuous was a big no, and anything from me wearing eyeliner apparently made me look like a prostitute.
Ooh.
When I was in year 10. That was big for my self-esteem.
I can imagine.
So now I'd like to introduce a section of the podcast that I think is going to be a bit of a recurring theme. And from gathering my research in my surveys, there was a section at the bottom for anyone to leave a question that they had that was sex related that they felt hasn't really been answered by either the education system or their friends or family, or they just didn't really have anyone that they thought they could get a non-biased answer from. Because for me, I think Googling things has a great amount of resources and information for you, but it's not necessarily the right information for what you're looking for.
Yeah, you might not be the target demographic of that piece.
No, because a 25-year-old's sex and relationship advice column probably is not applicable to 17-year-old Virgin Mary.
No, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be helpful information.
Definitely not. So, what is the first question that we'd like to answer?
Right. Should I fake an orgasm to please my partner.
Well, what do you think?
What do I think? I think that it's like telling your partner that you like something when you actually don't.
Yeah, and I do understand why people do it, why predominantly women fake orgasms, because there has always been that stigmatism around women not deserving an orgasm every single time that they're having sex. I think a lot of women came into the world of sex without even knowing that women can have orgasms.
Wow, that's fascinating.
I've read a lot of tweets actually that have been threads on tweets saying that I had sex for 7 years before I even masturbated, and I'd never even had an orgasm, just because they didn't realise that it was something that both men and women can experience.
That blows my mind, because I think that male sex and the way that it's viewed by males, the orgasms take centre stage almost.
Well, definitely, you can't have sex after you've had an orgasm.
No, it tends to end there. It
tends to be the big final closer.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to focus on the last part of that question where they say, it's to please my partner. Well, what about when your partner finds out? Soul crushing.
Has anyone ever faked an orgasm with you?
Not that I know of.
I guess you probably just wouldn't know. I imagine that women have. If you've slept with a fair amount of women, I imagine at least once it's happened.
Damn.
I hate to break that to you, but statistics do show that it is a high possibility that it's happened. I can honestly say that I have never faked an orgasm with you or with anyone in general, just because I don't believe on giving that satisfaction, because what is actually the point? I'd rather, if I just wanted it to be over, which is what a fair amount of women do.
I imagine that's why they do it.
Yeah, I think so. To get out of that situation, for it to be over. But you just say, I think that women need to realise that they can say what they like and don't like.
Yeah.
And it's scary. It's so scary. I remember when I first started doing it, can you do this? Or I don't like that. It's horrible to think that what the reaction might be.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're sleeping with someone that you don't really know that well or how they'll react, I think it can be quite scary.
Yeah, and I think some people can take it the wrong way.
Definitely. You can take it as such a personal attack that you're bad at sex and you don't want to have sex with them anymore.
No, even if that's just not even the case.
No, everybody has the right to end sex no matter how far they've gone or if it's not even started yet. Like, even if you've been having sex for half an hour and you don't want to do it anymore, you have that right to say, I want to stop.
Yeah, definitely.
So our verdict on that question is no, we don't think that you should fake an orgasm at all. Not just to please your partner, to get out of a situation. I understand that you might feel it's the safest option if you're with someone that you don't know how it might react. But if you're having sex with someone that you trust. So this topic of faking orgasms, or just orgasms in general, made me think of another topic that we can discuss.
What topic is that?
So I think it might be fun. You can say no if you don't want to. Mm-hmm. But we could share some embarrassing sex stories that shouldn't be embarrassing.
They're embarrassing because society says they're embarrassing, when in actual fact they shouldn't be.
I think I've had quite a few situations where I felt very embarrassed after a sexual experience because of something someone else has said or done. And I think it's important for people to know that others shouldn't be able to make you feel that kind of way for just having a sexual experience.
Yeah, it's not on them to do that.
Because at the end of the day, if you're having sex like most people are, chances are the majority of people are having the same experience as you.
Yeah.
And I think maybe talking about it is what needs to happen to make people feel better about these kind of experiences.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you have any embarrassingly normal sexcapades that you would like to share with us this time?
I thought you might nominate me to try and give one. I actually have something prepared, believe it or not.
Ooh.
So, I thought I might share the story of the time I was in a university house when I was with my previous boyfriend. And I was mortified because, let me set the scene for you. We're in a uni house. My boyfriend's room was next to a girl's room that he didn't really know. The way that the university had housed the people, it wasn't a choice of who you were really living with.
Oh, right.
Because it was on campus. And we were having sex or doing whatever kind of sexual thing in the daytime, which I think a lot of people don't like, especially if you're not having sex at that point in time with someone. And we got a lovely note under the door.
I can see the note here. It's very nice. It's written in pink felt tip pen.
I didn't keep the note. I took a photo of it at the time and then delved into my 25,000 photos on my iCloud to find it.
Yeah.
And I finally did.
You got it, and here it is.
And I think I'm just going to read it, if that's okay.
Oh, please do.
It's there's quite a few grammatic errors, but I'll try and
just do your best.
Do my best, yeah. So, it says, please have some respect for the people you live with. Having sex really loud all the time is immature and gross. Your girlfriend reminds me of me when I was 13.
Oh, no.
And had to fake it all the time as well.
Oh.
But then you grow up, apparently, and send felt tip notes under the door.
Yeah, you do.
And if she really, really can't help it, I promise you she can, then either get a house so you don't disturb other people or just gag her.
Wow.
It's not funny or cool to have sex really loud. You should have been overdoing that by 14. Thanks, in capitals.
Yeah, you should be over sex by 14.
Yeah, like every normal person.
Mm-hmm.
What makes me laugh is that saying it's not funny or cool to have sex really loud. Personally, I do think it's cool to have sex loud because having loud sex is a personal indicator that we're having a good time.
Yeah, I think this is true for a lot of couples actually. I mean, there's probably some that have some real nice quiet sex.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not saying that you have to be loud to have a good time. Me personally, I think not worrying about the volume that you're making is a key indicator of how comfortable you are in that situation.
Yeah, I totally agree. So to me, this note seems like absolute overkill.
Yeah, a little. I know for a fact that she wasn't in a relationship, but my partner at the time had said that he'd never heard them have sex.
Ah, right. That's because it's not funny or cool.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But realistically, why would you get that upset? I'm not sure why it feels the need to write a note to someone. If you're having that kind of situation that might make you feel uncomfortable, I don't think trying to embarrass someone and attack them personally is the right way to resolve it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the right way to go about it is to just, strike up a conversation with the person and say, hey, your loud sex has been disturbing me a little.
Could you keep it down?
That's all it really needs.
Exactly. It doesn't need a passive-aggressive note just to destroy someone.
You don't need to start shaming people.
No, I think sex shaming is a common thing, especially at university.
Yeah. It's so common, and reading through the surveys there's loads and loads of examples.
Yeah, there's lots where a lot of people have felt like they can share their experiences, and there's one where a lady commented saying that in her uni house she had thin walls like every university house I've ever been in. And her housemates proceeded to come up to the door and listen to them having sex, making their presence known just to make her feel awkward. And then when they spoke about it, they made her feel super awkward and were just trying to shame her for having a good time and making her feel good.
So you're definitely not the only person that's been going through this.
No, I do think it is quite a common thing.
Yeah, that to me is quite sad,
There's a lot of stigmatisms around sex noises. I think that implying that a woman is being loud is always had a kind of derogatory note towards her being sexually promiscuous, just when in reality she's just trying to have a good time.
Yeah, and the woman is always blamed as well. Definitely. I feel like it never falls down to the men, even though they're the ones pushing all the buttons.
They are pushing the buttons, especially in a heterosexual partnership.
Yeah.
In a homosexual relationship, I imagine that there is still that inequality of the person making noise and being the disruptive one. But there's actually a couple of statistics that I'd like to share.
Oh, please do.
Around orgasms and the pleasure gap between men and women, because at the end of the day, I feel like women make the most noise when they're having an orgasm.
Yeah.
I think that's just pretty natural. And so here are some very interesting statistics in the world of the pleasure gap, that gay and straight men climax 85% of the time during sex. How do you feel about that?
I would say that's pretty good innings, you know.
I think I've seen some clips and stuff of people asking this question, and a lot of women are just like 100% men always come when they have sex, which definitely isn't true.
No, it's not
but
true.
I think 85% seems pretty accurate.
Still, yeah, it's still on the upper end of things.
Yeah, and reflective of that, I think it's interesting to note that women climax 75% when having sex with other women, but only 63% when they're having sex with men.
Yeah, so that's some pleasure gap right there.
I'm pretty sure that the percentages of women climaxing from just penetrative sex is only about 20%. I think only 20% of women can have an orgasm from just penetrative sex.
Yeah, that's pretty low, I think.
And especially with the education system not really teaching about female sexual pleasure, I think it's pretty important to try and change that statistic.
Yeah, I think it's not good that that's the statistic that reflects reality. I think it's something that needs to be worked on.
I do think that needs to be worked on because it's not fair.
No.
I think men and women both deserve to enjoy the same amounts of orgasms.
Yeah, girl. Be loud and proud.
Yeah. And when you think about it, people getting upset over hearing loud sex probably just aren't getting any sex. Because I know for me personally, we've been having sex since the beginning of our relationship. And any time that I've heard someone have sex, like in your first uni house,
oh, yeah.
I always found it not entertaining, but definitely not
It's more comical than rage inducing.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, good for you. Like, you're having a good time. Like, I can't wait till I can have a good time later.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like, oh my God, that's so inconvenient. I can't believe they're making the noise. Because when you think about it, if they're playing loud music, it's not really it's going to be just as disturbing in terms of volume.
Why is it different if it's sex?
Why is it different?
The stigma.
I understand that you're probably picturing scenarios that you don't want to, but that's a personal thing. That's on you.
Yeah. That's
your attitude towards sex that makes you think that hearing someone have sex is determining a negative response.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that bit of info, on a sex positive note on being loud and proud and not worrying about what other people's opinions are when you're having a personal and
quite intimate experience.
Very intimate experience that you shouldn't really be worrying about other people's opinions, because as long as you're safe and comfortable, that should be your primary concern.
Yeah, safety and comfort it's all that matters.
So with that, I think we're going to have to end our first episode of Let's Masdebate.
Oh, boo.
I know. I bet you're really disappointed. But luckily, there will be some more episodes where we're going to further discuss other topics all around sexy sex, including masturbation, which I think is quite an important topic, which will be the primary focus of the next episode. Woo. Consent, another big topic.
A big one.
A big one. Homosexuality, even though neither of us are gay, but...
No, but we will do our very, very best.
Yeah, I think it's still important to try and talk about from a heterosexual perspective.
Definitely.
And much, much more.
Sick. I, for one, can't wait.
Yeah, me too.